This morning, I looked up from my laptop and stared out of the window for a long time. I wasn't procrastinating or stuck on something. It was because I'd finally moved my desk. For months, I'd been sitting with my back to the window, facing a blank wall, completely immersed in my screen. And last week, I thought, what if I just turned my desk around? So I did. And now, when I look up, I see the garden. I feel fresh air. I hear the birds, and something about that simple change, that ability to look up instead of down and in, feels like exactly what I needed. I created space. I cleared some of the mental fog, and it gave me clarity. Welcome back to Unrushed, Less Stress, More Meaning. I'm your host, Ronél, and today I want to talk about clarity. Because it feels like everyone is talking about it right now. LinkedIn posts, podcasts, books, workshops. Everywhere you turn, someone is offering clarity. And I've been asking myself, why now? Maybe it's because we need it more than ever. There's so much noise right now. Competing opinions about what leadership, life, work, anything really should look like, what success means, and how we should be spending our time. Everyone has a framework, has a method. Everyone has the answer. And somewhere in all that noise, it becomes really hard to hear your own voice, the voice that knows what actually matters to you. It's the voice that can tell the difference between what you should want and what you do want. It's the voice that can sense when you're on autopilot and need to get out of your head. I think that's why clarity matters, because without it, you're just reacting. You're letting the loudest voice win. You're moving fast without knowing if you're even heading in the right direction. And for high-functioning people like us, who are used to be strategic, intentional, and thoughtful, that lack of clarity can be absolutely exhausting. You can sense it, you know something is off, but you can't quite name it. And that's the mental fog I'm talking about. So what is clarity really? For me, it's when the mental fog lifts. It's when I can see clearly what's been hidden or distorted by the noise in my head and the noise in the world. It's that moment when I realize, oh, that's what's actually going on, or that's what I actually need to do, or even that's what I don't need to do. Clarity is definitely not about having the answers. Maybe it's about seeing the right question. It's about knowing what matters most. And that's not in theory, but right now in this season of your life. And here's the thing about clarity. It doesn't happen overnight, at least not for me. Yes, sometimes I'm out on a walk and it just clicks. The pieces fall into place. I see it. But that moment of clarity, it's almost always the result of work that came before. Journaling I didn't feel like doing. The quiet time I carved out when I wanted to keep working. And the conversation I had with someone I trust. Clarity is definitely not a lightning bolt. It's the result of creating the conditions for insight to find you. So how do you create those conditions? Of course, it's different for everyone. But here are a few tools in my toolbox, the things that consistently help me to cut through the fog. The first one is meditation, prayer, and quiet time. I'm not precious about what it looks like. Sometimes it's 5 minutes of stillness before my day starts. Sometimes it's a longer session. But the act of pausing, of not filling every moment with input, creates space for clarity. Then there's a good night's sleep, eating well, moving your body. I know this sounds basic, but when I'm depleted, my thinking gets clouded. When I'm well rested and nourished, I can see more clearly. It's not profound, It's just true. Then there's yoga and Pilates. This one surprised me. I didn't expect movement to be a clarity tool, but it is. When I'm on the mat, I'm forced to be present. Yes, my issues pop up, my worries show up, but it's as if I can see the problem with much less emotion, with more perspective. It's like the physical movement creates the mental space I need. Hiking in nature, no phone, physical challenges, hours of walking, sometimes with others and sometimes alone, without having to say a word. Lots of thinking happens there. But it's the good kind of thinking, not the anxious, spinning kind that happens when I'm in my head. It's the kind of thinking that leads somewhere. Journaling. Okay, confession time. I don't like journaling. Maybe it's the effort of making time for it. Maybe it's the blank page pressure. I don't know. But when I do it, when I actually sit down and put pen to paper, I reap the benefits. Sometimes immediately, sometimes when I look back at my entries later and realize, oh, I was working through that even then. Sometimes it's long sentences or just a few words, mostly old school pen and paper, but also an app if I'm out and about. It's like closing the mental tabs we talked about in an earlier episode, getting it out of my head and onto the page. Nature, especially from my desk. I already mentioned this, but it's worth repeating, I think. I moved my office desk so I can face the window. And nothing beats being able to look up out of the window, feeling fresh air from outside, and listening to the birds. It's a small thing, but it matters. Deep breathing regularly, even 10 minutes a day. Can be box breathing, just intentional breathing. It tells my nervous system, you're safe. You can slow down now. And when my nervous system is calm, clarity usually finds me. Stepping away from the screens. Now that's a hard one for me. I tell myself I'm relaxing by watching documentaries, especially about crimes and cults. Yes, I know I'm that person. But am I really relaxing, or am I just replacing one kind of mental input with another? Stepping away intentionally, not just scrolling, but actually disconnecting, creates a different kind of space. Sometimes I need someone who tells it like it is, who challenges me, who asks the hard questions. And other times I need someone who reflects back what I say or what I don't say and allows me space to connect the dots. This can be a friend, a family member, or a coach. The point isn't the advice they give, it's the clarity that comes from being heard. Now, I know all of these are good practices and they serve a multitude of purposes: rest, connection, presence, stress relief. But they also set you up for something bigger: better decision making, clearer direction, ultimately clarity. The reality is that the noise out there is so loud right now. And if you want to discern the fake from the authentic, if you want to know which advice actually applies to you and which doesn't, the voice inside your head must also be quiet. Not silent, just quiet enough to hear yourself think. Quiet enough to notice what's true for you. Quiet enough to sense when something's misaligned. And that's what clarity gives you. It's not about having all the answers. It's about knowing which questions matter the most. It's about seeing the fork in the road clearly so you can choose your path intentionally and not reactively. And this is why clarity is the first pillar of strategic calm, which is the methodology I follow in my work. Because without it, everything else is just noise. You can't have direction if you don't know what matters. Clarity is the foundation. It's a pause that lets you see, am I still on the right mountain? Or have I been climbing without checking? It's the moment when you realize something needs to change. Or actually, I'm exactly where I need to be. Either way, you know. And that knowing, that's clarity. So here's what I'm curious about. What gives you clarity? Is it a morning walk or a conversation with a trusted friend? A long drive without a destination? What's a thing that helps you cut through the noise and hear your own voice again? I'd love to hear from you. My contact details are in the show notes. Or if you're on my newsletter list, just hit reply. I read every message. And if you're not on the newsletter list yet, if you want these kinds of reflections landing in your inbox every 2 weeks, I'd really appreciate it if you could join. The link is also in the show notes. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, you don't have to do it all to live well. I'm Ronél, and this is Unrushed.